Welcome to the Keyhole software series on GrokOla Beta. GrokOla is a product developed by Keyhole Software to help take the clients that we consult for to the next level. GrokOla delivers a central place to store knowledge, both for searching and communication, which is an absolute must in any software project. The previous video in this series dealt with the process of asking a question to the rest of the team through GrokOla. The question was submitted, notifications were sent out through email, and now the question needs an answer. This video will deal with that specific part, how someone submits an answer to a question in GrokOla. In GrokOla terminology, we use the term grok instead of answer. Grok is a term that gained popularity with programmers in the 1980s and means something like to understand a question so completely that the answer that you give almost becomes part of who they are. Now, there are generally two different ways that a grok can be created. The first is that a grok comes from an offline discussion. Perhaps a meeting was held to discuss the best way to approach a problem, and a grok needed to be communicated to share the outcome of the meeting with all the different teams involved in the project. It's also possible that two developers work through a problem on their workspace, and they need to let other programmers know how to get around the problem in the future. The second way to create a grok, which is probably the more common one, is to answer a question. Recall that when an email is sent out to the team after a question is asked in GrokOla, if someone knows the answer to the question, they can either click on the link sent in the email or come to the GrokMe section of GrokOla. GrokMe is probably best understood as sort of a dashboard for everything that's going on in GrokOla. It has a listing of all the different questions that have been asked, how long ago they were asked, as well as their status. Let's say that I'm another developer on the team and I saw the email about creating objects in JavaScript and I know the answer. I'll come to GrokMe, click on the Me button to say that I will answer it. Now, the programmer that created the question is then notified that someone is taking care of it. Now that the question is assigned to me, GrokOla shows me a list of all the possible answers. If this is a question that I've answered before or I've read about where to find the answer, I can simply go through this list and select Use this grok. The alternative is that I need to create a completely new grok to answer the question because it's either novel or needs to be answered in a slightly different way. So I can click the Create New Grok. Create New Grok is the same thing as the Solution button up here in the navigation. Similar to asking a question, you have to select a reference or a category, describe your grok, and then fill in the answer. Notice that it also selected the same category that I was already on when the question was asked, to reduce the amount of clicking that a user has to do to go from answering a question to submitting it. Notice that the left side of the screen is a dedicated code editor, while the right side of the screen is primarily for notes. The code editor on the left supports syntax highlighting for a variety of different programming languages. The notes section on the right supports Wikipedia-style markdown, so you can style your notes to fit the need of the question. After I've sufficiently answered the question, I can then click Save. What you'll notice is that when I clicked Save, this little notifier comes up, telling me of all the different questions that are potentially out there for me to research. If, for instance, the question that I was creating the grok for can be found in this list, I can then click Answer with this grok. The user is then notified that, hey, someone has answered your question. So they can log into GrokOla and see, well, did this grok answer my question, or am I going to have to get further clarification? They also might be able to figure out something by just adding notes to the user through this comment section. Regardless, the workflow of going from asking a question to getting an answer in GrokOla is designed to be as streamlined as possible. It's focused on how do we get the fewest number of clicks while still providing the user and the person answering the question the most flexibility and the most comfort with getting them the answer as quickly as possible. To review, this video covers the answer side of the GrokOla workflow. Looking at the backlog, creating a grok, and answering a question were all covered. The user profile page will be the primary focus of the next video.